Okay, so the Atlanta Falcons. Now, here's how we're going to do this one because obviously the biggest conversation that we're going to have here that Nate has been waiting for is we're going to talk about the decision to draft Michael Penix. But before we get to that, Brandon, run us down through the day 2 picks and the day 3 picks, and we'll cover Penix at the end so we can keep it to just a couple minutes.
Yep. So Braylon Trice, they got an edge rusher. They needed to get an edge rusher. I know at pick number 8 overall, that was the projection was going to be Dallas Turner, maybe even Leatu Latu at pick number 8. They ended up getting Braylon Trice, solid player. Outside of that, I think they solid pickup Brandon Dorless for the defensive line. JD Bertrand. I didn't have a grade on JD Bertrand, but from what I'm hearing, other scouts were talking about this guy being a really solid player. And the pickup of Jace McClellan is one to watch, the halfback out of Alabama. You know, those low mileage running backs, so to speak, that come from Alabama where they're, sharing a backfield have been pretty solid. So keep an eye on him as well.
All right, well, let's talk about the topic at hand here, and that is Michael Penix Jr., probably the best quarterback in college football last year. And, we were gushing over him in the previews with his ball placement. And he's gone to a team here that has a great foundation. They have a good young lineman, good young weapons, and a good old quarterback, freshly signed from the Minnesota Vikings, Kirk Cousins. All right, Nate, in under a minute, tell us why you hate this pick. Because we can tell by the look on your face.
I mean, it doesn't make sense, in my opinion, from a team building standpoint. You have a quarterback that you just signed to a big deal for three years that are fully guaranteed. You have all the weapons that you need. You have no pass rush whatsoever. Your secondary is solid, not great. So the way to improve the secondary and your pass rush at the same time is draft Dallas Turner. It's very simple equation. You improve the entire defense by drafting a grade A pass rusher. You do that, their draft is an A. Like if you change that one pick, it changes everything about the rest of the draft too.
Well, this is what I think. Yeah. For years, since that loss to the New England Patriots, the Falcons have suffered average quarterback play, below average quarterback play mostly. Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke last year was one of the hardest. It made us yearn for Mariota being their starter again the year before, and that should say something. I think when we look at Kirk Cousins and we saw what happened with Aaron Rodgers last year when he went into a new system and he got hurt, and Kirk is in his late 30s now, and he's coming back from he's coming back from a mid. That's his once you cross 5, it's late 30s, especially in NFL years, and he's coming back from a major injury.
Okay,
we don't know who's coming back, so in the Falcons' mind, we may look at, if he's not capable of coming back, and insurance might cover this contract because there's obviously insurance built into this with the injury. You don't make that contract signing without that, right? I don't know. I'm saying Michael Penix
cover this contract. He's got $140 million coming to him regardless.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Brandon, what do you think to break the tie here?
Oh, Brandon.
What do I think?
Rated it a B+.
Michael Penix.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not going to kill them on this pick. I think that if Michael Penix Jr., if he were to go back even just a few spots and he were to be picked, let's just say he landed with the Jets in that particular scenario where he's sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for a year or two, it would have been an A in my opinion. If he would have landed with Minnesota, Denver, the Las Vegas Raiders actually mocked him going number 8 overall with a trade with the Atlanta Falcons the day of the draft. I thought that would be an opportunity for the Raiders to kind of move up, sneak in, get the quarterback that I thought that they would end up getting anyway, whether they moved up or not. And at the end of the day, he's still a top 10 pick in this particular draft. So what I'm hearing is he was that high on their board. And if he's that high on their board, yeah, they believe in this guy. And you can see it on his tape. We talked about it before. About it before, Nate, and they're one of our videos recently. We we both were talking about how he might be underrated in terms of people thinking he's not a first round, type of prospect. But I mean, he showed first round traits in college football a year ago. But to come into this scenario, Kirk Cousins not knowing until the second it basically happened, they're calling both guys, hey, you're going to get drafted. And Kirk, hey, here's what we're doing. That's kind of a weird situation that they put themselves in. It's going to be interesting to see. But I feel like Kirk is a guy who will just take the dude under his wing, help develop him. And within a couple of years, you're the Atlanta Falcons. You've got your guy.
I will say that Kirk Cousins is the exact style quarterback that Penix could maximize his playing skill set too, like becoming a play action pocket quarterback. He has the placement. Like, he really could sit and learn and get refined. And be able to be an elite pocket passer in the NFL, I think.
Because his game, Michael Penix's game is he needs to develop that short and intermediate game a little bit more. And guess who can help him?
And that's what's made Kirk so much better.
That's why everybody likes him. He takes what's given. Yeah.
So the greatest scouting breakdown of Kirk Cousins, and we'll move on after this, I ever heard. I think it was by Kevin O'Connor, someone at The Ringer. And he said the reason why coaches love Kirk Cousins is because he is going to make all the reads exactly how you laid them out in the playbook. He's not going to deviate.
I like
let's move on to final overall grade for the Atlanta Falcons, Brandon.
I mean, I got him as an overall B in this draft. Not terrible, obviously. Again, the edge rusher, they could have went premium at the top. They did.
All right. Well, let's talk about the New Orleans Saints, who are kind of in no man's land right now, living the Derek Carr life.
A top 5 QB, baby.
Yeah, you'll never live that one down. Oh, let's talk about. So they went out and they drafted a offensive tackle in Fuaga this year, who was a great pass blocker at Oregon State. But they went out and drafted Trevor Penning a couple years ago, who has not played well, right? Like, since he's been in the league, he's been kind of overwhelmed. He gets a lot of penalties from his physicality, which is just holding people. Is it safe to say that might have been a bust pick? They drafted him pretty high.
Well, the interesting thing too is Taliese Fuaga is a dude that I see him playing interior offensive, like he'll play guard as a rookie more than likely. But he will kick out to I don't know if he's going to be a left tackle. So you're still kind of looking to get there in terms of that. So you're hoping to probably develop Penning, give him another year, develop him, see what happens. You'll end up with Fuaga playing interior offensive line, opposite of either Ruiz or Hurst. You could have him play right tackle. Maybe you do kick Penning out. I don't know. Maybe you throw Ramczyk to, left tackle. I have no idea what their mindset or thought process is going to be in that regard. But I can tell you this, Taliese Fuaga is one of the better players in this draft class. Any other draft class, this guy's probably a top 10 pick if it weren't for all the quarterbacks and wide receivers that went in front of him. If you fast forward to day 2, they filled another need, in my opinion, in getting the physical Kool-Aid McKinstry all the way at pick 41. That feels like a value pick. That feels like, hey, this is the best dude on the board. Let's just go get him. Type of thing, in my opinion. And then they'll figure out where they're going to line these guys up in the secondary and how they're going to do that. But I feel like they did a really good job. Day 1, day 2, obviously they filled those needs.
Let's talk about Spencer Rattler for a second, because this is a very well-known player. And I think we're going to see more and more guys like Spencer Rattler as the years go on, because very rarely in high school, he was a star of a reality show. And how he acted on that reality show is a big reason why he fell as far as he did, because he has all the tools of an NFL starter. And literally, teams said, no, how we saw him act, even as a young kid, very concerning. And that's why no one had a lot of faith in him. Like, this guy overcame adversity in college, got benched for Caleb Williams, and then went to South Carolina and carved himself out a decent college career. Like, it's nothing to poo-poo at. He made it work. And that's something to say in NFL when you have the right tools and the arm. But man, They did not like all reports I'm hearing. It was directly, they were like, well, no, we saw who he was when he was younger. So why would we ever pursue that?
He's matured he's matured a ton since then.
Yeah.
It's
That's
because
the crazy
NFL
thing.
teams are stupid, and so
Well,
at some level,
I feel like
he was 17. Did you not do stupid stuff when you were 17?
Bet you
Yeah, I
did. Well,
mean-
the police stuff probably was the most concerning.
I mean, has he been in
he
trouble
got
with the police since?
No, but I mean, he did get suspended. He wasn't able to play in his high school playoff games and stuff like that. So that's, I think, and then he said some pretty wild stuff at Oklahoma. And then when he got benched, he didn't take that very well with Caleb Williams. So that was,
I mean, imagine being the starting quarterback at a Power 5 school and getting benched. It's humiliating.
But I mean,
think
they're
it's
just,
overblown.
yeah, I think it's a little overblown too, but there is something to
Can I
say.
say this?
You're,
I think just his on-field play, like he's erratic. He's super erratic. And like, there's moments where you're like, wow, like that's the dude that everybody was talking about, you know, when everybody was trying to compare him to, they were talking about him like they talked about Caleb Williams. And then Caleb Williams lived up to that hype. Spencer Rattler came into his second year at Oklahoma, didn't live up to it, lost the starting job, goes to the SEC, and he struggles mightily. Now the offensive line, everybody tries to say it's the offensive line. If you're a South Carolina fan, he's not consistent enough. He turns over the football a ton in that. Yeah. So,
I mean, he's perfect to pair up with Derek Carr. Then there won't be much of a fall off when he comes in after Derek.
Yeah.
Carr
I don't know if he's
falls and
going to
breaks it.
take, I don't think he's going to, yeah, that's true. If something happens in that way, then you got
put
your
in
guy.
the other erratic player.
Gives you some
all right,
Jameis Winston.
Overall, the Saints, you're giving them an A- though. You like their draft.
I like what they did day one. I like what they did day
when
two.
You get Kool-Aid McKinstry in the middle of the second round,
right.
anything other than an
And then
A is wrong.
You got a quarterback that a lot of people were thinking would go in the second round all the way at pick 150.
Yeah.
That's a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Totally.
It's weird.
All right, let's talk about the team that probably had the most egg on their face coming into this draft. Ridiculed all year, trading up for the smallest quarterback ever drafted. And then it was a rough season, boys. It was a rough season for the Carolina Panthers.
Guys, I just want to can we start with the only person that wanted Bryce Young in that organization was David Tepper. Like that was the only person. The GM.
Did you guys see the clip? Did you see the clip of Tepper? So a restaurant,
I've seen
this
that.
up, posted just in Carolina. They posted
Took the dude's hat
in
off.
their window, let the GM draft this year. And David Tepper was driving by, and he came in and asked to talk to the manager who hung the sign, and he was just giving him shit for it. That's I love that. That's classic. That also shows that guy's a maniac.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, that's why he's a multi-billionaire, is because of shit like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So congratulations, David Tepper. Wildly successful in business. You are a terrible evaluator of football talent.
You go out and you sign Miles Sanders last year, and now look at this. We're back to drafting a running back in the second round when you just gave like
not to toot my own horn, but I called Miles Sanders trash well before that trade, and I said it was not going to work out for them.
You did.
I think they did a good job in this draft. Honestly, if I'm being honest.
What do you think? Yeah, tell us.
I'm not, I love Xavier. I love the ability of Xavier Legette and what he can do. So what this draft tells me as I kind of go through this, day one, Xavier Legette, what is he good at? Yards after catch, in space. He can break tackles. He can break away, has that breakaway speed, big bodied receiver, AJ Brown style type of receiver, right? Then they go and they draft a running back, Jonathan Brooks, 3-down versatility, a guy who can catch the football out of the backfield. And then on day 3, they go and get a tight end in Jatavion Sanders, another dude who's a freak after the catch athlete at the tight end position. So what they're doing is they're building this offense for I almost called him Kyler Murray, for Bryce Young to be what he is, and that's be that elite distributor of the football, getting the ball out to players in the open field, in space, and letting them take care of business. That's exactly why they drafted a guy like Xavier Legette, in my opinion, paired him with Jatavion Sanders at the same time. So they have a mindset. I see their vision and what they're trying to do in this particular offense now.
Now, Brandon, you know I'm the running back whisperer here at Football Scout 365. Jonathan Brooks, he was looked at by a lot of analysts before his injury as maybe the only first-round running back talent in this class, possibly. Is he that good? Is this?
He was on pace. I think he was on pace to.
Do we see him taking over the? Is he going to be a running back one in the NFL?
Once he as long as they let him get healthy and all that, and get him out on the field as 100%. He probably won't be 100% out of the gate even this year, but once he gets the full health, this guy has all the upside in the world. I mean, he came into that Texas backfield and looked amazing. He had 1,100 yards before his injury. I think there was still 2 or 3 games left in the regular season. He would have put up 1,700 yards. He could have helped them get to the national title game potentially. He was that, potential missing piece on offense, very dynamic football player.
Okay, so
Brandon,
the dynasty nugget. Oh, go ahead.
How do you compare him to Roschon Johnson?
Oh, he's definitely better. He's not as physical as Roschon. Roschon's more of the physical back versus
Roschon's also great out of the backfield and in space.
No, this dude's a better player in that regard. Yeah.
Okay. So Jonathan Brooks. Here's the question that I think a lot of people are going to be asking themselves in the next coming months with Jonathan Brooks. In a dynasty draft, dynasty fantasy football, where do the receivers stop that should be drafted over him? Obviously, we're going to skip down to Odunze. Who down the line? I imagine people are going to be very obsessed with Xavier Worthy going to Kansas City with that skill set and that speed. So he'll probably be taken. A lot of people like Adonai Mitchell going to Indianapolis, even though I don't know how many balls are going to go around when he already had such a with Anthony Richardson. So who knows how much they're going to run with, that's where does Brooks get drafted ahead of all these wide receivers that were taken early?
It's a good question.
It's a tough question.
In
right?
Dynasty.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
That's an exercise that definitely
such a weak class. Like, obviously we can revisit this as its own segment, but just off the top of your head, does anyone have like a place? I would probably take him over Adonai Mitchell, but I wouldn't take him over Brian Thomas. I would.
Yeah, probably somewhere like early second round, somewhere like the first few picks, even. If you need a running back, why not?
Yeah. There's so much.
I think he'll take that backfield. He'll take over that backfield.
For sure. Yeah. And he has a good one too with Chuba Hubbard. Like Chuba Hubbard, he's a good change pace back.
Good call out there.
All right. So the Carolina Panthers, grade overall.
Yeah, I gave them a B grade. I mean, they moved up. Yeah, they did good.
B is the right grade.
Yeah, with Xavier Legette, he had like 1 year of solid production in college, so you're going off of that, and you're waiting to kind of see if it will translate. If it translates this grade in 3 years, we'll look back on it and we'll say definitely probably an A-, right?
Yeah, no, I agree, and they need to hit this one. They need to after last year.
Yeah, they do.
It's going to set the franchise back if
they have the right idea.
Just get the first overall pick next year. What are you talking about? If you go back-to-back ones, it's okay. Just ask the Browns.
All right, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This one was it wasn't a flashy one. They went with a lot of bulk here up top. Graham Barton out of Duke.
Yeah, dude,
is he going to be able to handle himself in the NFL?
He's going to play center in the NFL. He can play any position on the offensive line. He played tackle at Duke. This is a positional versatile pick, right? You're looking for that kind of guy. They got him, right? So he's going to play day one. They're going to put him out there, whether he's playing guard or center. And then the day two prospects, they ended up getting 2 really good ones. Chris Braswell, the edge out of Alabama. He's definitely he's a strong run stopper too off the edge. So not a guy that's necessarily going to be covering off the edge like a traditional outside linebacker type, but more of a run stopping edge rusher, hold that edge. Taliese Smith from Georgia, any of the defenders from Georgia, we're going to give him credit. This guy has a high ceiling though. I feel like their day 2 was solid. It wasn't the best. I feel like day 3, they hit a home run though with Jalen McMillan. He's going to be a great slot receiver addition to this offense, paired with Baker Mayfield, obviously. And then Bucky Irving wasn't great, didn't put up the great combine numbers, but I think he's another dude that you throw out there, another role player. So a lot of role player types on day 3 for them coming in. Jalen McMillan has the potential to start. So again, we go back to the conversation. They got a day 1 guy who's going to start. They've got a day 2 guy that's probably going to start in Chris Braswell for sure. Tyke Smith has the upside. Jalen McMillan on day 3 has the upside, potential to start as well. So B+.
Love it.